And welcome everybody to another edition of Tobs Talk presented by Thomas and Ferris right here on Greenlight Channel 2. I'm Jake Donnelly. Thank you for tuning in. Well, if you're a little bit disappointed about yesterday's soccer match between the United States and Belgium, in which the United States lost 2-1, there's got to be some way to wipe the memory of that game away. Like if there was another sport in the summer that's really fun to watch and local, and oh yeah, the Tobs. The Wilson baseball team sit at 15-13 on the season. They finished off the first half 2 games above 500. They took out the Morehead City Marlins on Sunday, and then they took out the Edenton Steamers on Monday, the team with the best record in the Coastal Plain League. That game against the Steamers was a 4-1 victory. John Valek went 7 innings of shutout baseball. He just walked one and he only struck out one, but with that fastball, curveball, changeup combination was really able to keep the Edenton Steamers off balance. 7 innings of shutout baseball against, statistically speaking, the best offense in the CPL. A terrific job. However, by the time that Valek had left the game, the score was 0-0 because the starter for the Steamers, Jeff Stoddard, threw 6 innings of scoreless baseball. So heading into the bottom of the 7th inning, there was no score between the two teams, and the fans at Fleming Stadium were looking for the first run, and the Tobs were able to get it as Justin Carroll, the freshman out of UNC Wilmington, led off the inning with a triple, hitting off the wall in left center field. He was on third base, and then Matt Rubino, who was celebrating his 21st birthday, hit a ground ball which looked like it was going to go through the hole on the right side, but it was a diving stop by Ryan Ruslowski, which kept the ball in the infield, and it looked like that Ruslowski was going to throw on to first for the first out and keep Carroll over at third. However, Ruslowski, in a play that really I had never seen before, got up, and with Carroll about 120 feet away and the first base bag no more than 20 feet away, threw across the diamond. The 6'6" freshman out of UNC Wilmington was able to dive back to the bag safely. Rubino reached first base, and it was runners on first and third with nobody out in a scoreless ball game in the bottom of the 7th inning. Then the next pitch was a wild pitch that scored a run, 1-0 Tobs. Rubino moved up to second base. He would be there a couple of batters later when Zach Callahan, with 2 guys on second and third, came up and with 2 outs, doubled into left center field off the end of the bat. Looked like a flare, but the left fielder for the Steamers, Orlando Oliveira, was unable to really locate the ball, and even if he had a good jump, was probably unable to make the play anyways. But Callahan, who was really charging out of the box, was able to motor into second base with a 2-out, 2-run double, making it 3-0 Tobs. Then Seth LaRue came up and he smacked a single through the left side, driving home Callahan, who slid in headfirst in front of the tag, making it 4-0 Tobs. So Valek's night was over after 7 innings of scoreless baseball, and head coach of the Tobs, Justin Hay, called on local boy Dylan Fry from Raleigh, North Carolina, who used to pitch at NC State. And Fry, despite allowing a run in the 8th inning, which made the game 4-1, was able to close off the game in the 9th inning, giving the Tobs the 4-1 victory, the first time this season that the Tobs have taken out the Edenton Steamers. So the Tobs now 1-3 on the season against the Steamers after that 4-1 victory. It was a great game by the Tobs, as they have now played 2 airless games in a row, and actually the Steamers defense in that game Monday night was good as well, and they didn't commit any errors. And if you're into those kind of funky stat things, well, this was the first game all season in which both the Tobs and their opponent did not commit an error. Yeah, it's been one of those summers, but the Tobs now sit at 15-13. They played spoilers in that Monday night game because now the Steamers and Pilots are both tied at 21-7 after the first half in the CPL. They're tied in first place in the East Division, and they will have a winner-take-all game on Thursday to decide who will get the automatic playoff berth for winning the first half of the East Division here in the CPL. But back to the Tobs. Tobs have the reigning CPL Pitcher of the Week. That's the 919 Marketing CPL Pitcher of the Week in the person of Christian Slasnick, whose performance last week against the Wilmington Sharks earned him that honor. It is now the 2nd week in a row that the Tobs have pulled down a 919 Marketing Player of the Week. 2 weeks ago was Seth LaRue, who just bashed the ball everywhere. And then last week, Slasnick's 8+ innings of scoreless baseball got him the nod, and we'll see if John Valek's performance from Monday against the best offense in the CPL will keep those awards here in Wilson, North Carolina, because going 7 scoreless innings against the best offense in the CPL is a tremendous feat. Well, the Tobs sit at 15-13 after the first half, and we'll see if the Tobs, for the first time in more than 5 years, will be able to secure a playoff berth. And the man who's really looking to see if the Tobs can pull that off, the head coach, Justin Hay, will be with me right after this break. Right now, you're watching Tobs Talk, presented by Thomas & Ferris, right here on Greenlight Channel 2. And welcome back, everybody, to this edition of Tobs Talk. I'm Jake Donnelly, and Tobs Talk is presented by Thomas & Ferris right here on Greenlight Channel 2. Joining me now is head coach of the Tobs, Justin Hay. And Justin, last game, a 4-1 victory over the Edenton Steamers, a team that the Tobs had played 3 times previously without getting the win. How good did that win feel?
Oh, it felt great. Anytime you get a win, it feels good. Anytime you beat the #1 team in the league, it feels even better. And, you know, I challenged the guys going into the game that we had played them very well pretty much all 3 times except for 1 inning. And it was just a lack of focus during that inning that caused that. And I told them, I said, we're just as good as they are. We just have to find a way to not lose focus during the game and give them a big inning. And that's what we did, thanks to some really good starting pitching and 1 big inning on offense.
And John Valek was the starter in that game. He went 7 innings without allowing a run. So obviously you're thinking, especially after that 4-run inning, okay, I've got a 4-run lead. What are some of the difficulties that come up trying to, do you go with like situational stuff out of the bullpen, or how do you think about getting those last 6 outs?
Well, John was already done before we scored the runs, and you know that made it easy on me. He was at 93 pitches. You know, we don't want him going over 100, so it was time for him to come out. He had done his job as a starting pitcher. When he came off the mound, I told him, you know, that Dylan Fry was going to enter the game, and I was just really glad that we scored the runs in the bottom of the 7th so that he could get the win, because he deserved it. He pitched very well, and I really wanted him to get the win, so it was really nice for us to get those 4 runs right out of the gate there in the 7th.
Now, 3 out of the last 4 starts for the Tobs, the starters have gone 21/3 innings and allowed just 1 earned run. Is it one of those situations, at least in your opinion, where the good starting pitching kind of goes to the next guy and they're all trying to outdo the other?
Yeah, good starting pitching can really be a catalyst to make the bullpen throw that much better, mainly because you're not wearing your bullpen out. And that's been great, you know, and that goes all the way back to Daniel Batts eating up some innings the last time we played Edenton and not burning our bullpen, and that's really played into us, our bullpen being fresh over the last 3 games. And you know, thankfully we've had our bullpen come in and throw well, and when you're not having to stretch guys, and you know, we're not having to bring in guys in the 5th, and I'm not having to throw guys back-to-back days, that really helps them throw better. And the pace of the game has really kept everybody in it, which is good. And when the starting pitching is on and the game's moving along, it's a lot easier for the guys on the bench to stay focused. And I think that's been a big deal the last couple of games.
And the Tobs have played pretty well over the last couple of games. Do you think they're doing anything differently? And if so, what is that?
You know, really, I think what we're doing a little more different is the fact that we're relaxed a little bit, but we are finding ways to stay focused. And that's what I've challenged the guys with is, hey, this is summer ball. It's supposed to be fun. But at the same time, you have to learn to have fun and stay focused on the game. The fun has to be while paying attention to the game. The game can be fun while you're watching it. You can stay focused and talk about the game and still have fun. And they have been able to do that on the bench. The conversation on the benches have gotten more into the game and less about other things. And really the starting pitching has been a huge asset over the last couple games to really help the focus.
And it really did seem like the Tobs bench especially was focused in. I remember a foul ball where 4 guys went sprinting after it, and actually Adam Pate, who was in that race, ended up being the last one between, I think it was Doug Teagard, Braden Bristow, and Quinn Atwood. Did you end up seeing that during the game?
Yeah, it's the reason we didn't pinch run Adam there later in the game, because I mean, if Doug and Quinn and those guys can beat him, then obviously he's not as fast as I thought he was.
Yeah, he is pretty fast, though. The only Tob right now on the season with double-digit steals. The Tobs game tonight is against the Forest City Owls. Now, we have played the Owls once so far this season, but that was a long road trip. The first game of a road trip wasn't really the best game for the Tobs. I believe the score was 10-5. What did you see from the Owls in that game that they do well?
Well, they've got some really good middle lineup hitters. And we gave them a lot of free bases in that game. And they took advantage of it. And that's the mark of a good team, is take advantage of the other team's mistakes. And they did it. And they are a very good team. I think they finished second or third in their division for the first half. And So, you know, they're a team a lot like Edenton in the fact that they've got good pitching, and their hitters will make mistakes hurt. So we've got to really focus on that tonight with Christian Slasnick taking the mound. Hopefully that's something that we do.
And Christian Slasnick leading the CPL in ERA, and he's also the reigning 919 Marketing CPL Pitcher of the Week, an award that really rolls off the tongue. Well, Justin, thank you for coming in this morning. Always appreciate it. When we come back, we will have Jerry Stancil from Greenlight right here on Tobs Talk, presented by Thomas & Ferris. And welcome, everybody, to this edition of Tobs Talk. I'm Jake Donnelly. Joining me right now is Jerry Stancil from Greenlight. Jerry, you've been on the show before, and we talked about all the different golf tournaments that Greenlight sponsors. Do you mind just running through those again one more time for me?
Absolutely. The Chamber of Commerce is probably one of the biggest ones that we do. We do a lot of work in that to promote it, to get it going, to get it happening. We do that one. Mulligans for Kids. That's a good golf tournament. And what we do with that is that we raise money for special needs kids. And we have an auction the night before and sell off memorabilia of sports, state, Carolina, East Carolina. So that's a big night for it. That's just a lot of money we raise for Mulligans for Kids, and it goes to the kids.
And it seems like you guys do a ton in the community, especially with sports teams. Everybody knows about the sponsorship with the Tobs, but you guys also work with Barton as well. What do you do with Barton?
We're a member of the 45 Second Club that they have. There's about 7 of us that are members of that. We also do the homecoming. We're also big with Back to Barton every year. So we're big with doing that also too. We sponsor a lot of people here in Wilson and a lot of things because it's all about the community. That's why we brought Greenlight to Wilson and the fiber optic. It's about for the citizens in Wilson. For example, the library. We just upgraded their internet speeds to 100 meg. They have a lab there with 16 laptops where they bring people in, teach people how to use it. People can go and look for job sites or what have you. So we do a lot with the library too.
And you do the library, do a lot with schools, and you also have brought the high-speed 100 meg internet to some of the schools.
We have. We've got 27 schools on our circuit. And the cool thing we did with that, the engineers, when they built it, is they built a loop around the county to get to 27 schools. That was the primary. Well, they also built a secondary loop the other way in case the primary loop broke, something happened, then the secondary loop would pick over and they'd never lose their access to Greenlight. So that was pretty cool how they designed that.
It does sound really cool, especially if something would go down that it really wouldn't take out everything else.
Exactly.
And when it comes to this 100 megs and this high-speed internet, why is that so important?
Well, it seems to be the biggest thing is your upload speeds. That's the biggest thing. I know we have one guy that works in the Hollywood, and he sends a lot of uploads to Los Angeles, New York, Japan, and with the upload speeds he had, he used to be the bottleneck. So he had to relocate somewhere where he wasn't the bottleneck no more because the files are so big. He decided to move his family to Wilson. Since he's moved to Wilson, and with our speeds that we have, he's no longer the bottleneck. And it's the people in LA, New York, or what have you, that's the bottleneck. So that was pretty cool. He sent me an email last night telling me about the speeds that he was having, how much he was enjoying it, and he was telling me the size of the files that he had sent. But that was pretty cool that we could do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is one of the fastest areas in terms of internet speed in America.
Absolutely, absolutely. Chattanooga and us probably have the highest speeds in the nation. You know, we're proud of that. We're proud to have that, and we use it not only in Wilson, but we want to be able to help, you know, the other towns. You got your Raleighs, you got your Holly Springs, your Jacksonvilles. You know, we want to be able to help support that.
And it just seems like because you guys are so involved in the community, everybody has a good word to say about Greenlight. Where's the next thing that you guys are going for? Is it the Raleigh? Is it different counties? What's the next step?
Well, depending on what can happen with Greenlight, you know, we're open to anything. For example, when you talked about the community, I went by the vet today, this morning, to take my cat to the vet or whatever, and there was an old couple in there, and they were volunteering at the vet to walk dogs or whatever, and I started speaking with them and all that. And they said, "Oh, I noticed you're with Greenlight." I said, "Yeah, sure am." They said, "Well, we've been with you about 5 years now." She says, "We love it." Her and her husband was there. You know, they were talking about how much they've enjoyed it. She said the #1 thing with Greenlight, she said, is customer service. She says, "Y'all have the best customer service there is in Wilson." That made me feel good. And that's what we're all about here with Greenlight. It's all about the community.
And it's all local people that are working because Greenlight is right here in Wilson.
Yep.
And how long has Greenlight been in Wilson for?
6 years.
6 years.
We're on our 6th year now, and the cool thing is when people call in, and they need something, they're talking to somebody that lives here, and we all kind of talk the same. So you can understand, except me, but you can all understand who you're talking to, and you're usually on the phone for 2 to 4 minutes. And then that's important.
So it's
That's
not
good.
like when I have issues with my internet or my TV and I have to wait on hold and listen to that really annoying hold music for 10, 15 minutes. That really doesn't happen here at Greenlight.
No, and you don't have to go through about a third or fourth person so you can understand them.
Yeah.
You know, so you have that also. So that's a blessing.
Yeah, it's really good. And really the big thing is being able to understand the person on the other line makes a huge difference. That's one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to customer service. And I guess if you see the person like at the supermarket and they work for Greenlight, that's part of the issue, why you really want to help them out, because you're messing with people who are in the community.
Well, that's a good point too, because we do see a lot of our members, you know, at the grocery store or at the Tobs. When we go to the games, we see a lot of people that are members, and a lot of the times, if we have our Greenlight shirts on or whatever, people will come up to you and speak to you and say, hey, how's Greenlight doing? How's it working out? And so the community is excited about what we're doing because it's a part of them.
All right, well, Jerry, thank you for coming in this morning. And remember, folks, at the Tobs Stadium, at Fleming Stadium, whenever they score a run, it's powered by green lights. Those green lights go off, and all of the game day staff have those bright yellow shirts powered by Greenlight in the back. And I know you love that shirt.
They're cool. They are.
Yeah,
That's
those
so
are
cool.
some pretty cool shirts. I may or may not have stolen one. But anyways, folks, you're watching Tobs Talk right here, presented by Thomas and Ferris on Greenlight Channel 2. And welcome back, everybody, to this edition of Tobs Talk. Tobs Talk is presented by Thomas and Ferris right here on Greenlight Channel 2. And for the first time this summer, we have a returning player for the Tobs, and that's Zach Callahan. If he looks really familiar, it's because Zach was on Tobs Talk in our last Tobs Talk. Apparently, I can't get rid of you now that you're back on the team, so thanks for coming in this morning.
Of course.
Are you feeling a little bit better than the last time because you had the day off yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit more energy.
Gotta relax by the pool, get your energy back up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Always good to have that day off. And Zach, if you couldn't tell, really likes his bandanas. He's wearing the Stars and Stripes one. Of course, the United States lost yesterday against Belgium in the World Cup, so they're now out of it. But why do you decide, which one is your favorite bandana? I think you have 4, right?
There's 4. I mean, we just crazy. It all started, Julio started. I can't take the credit for it. So Julio started it. We're on the bus, and he's wearing, I forgot what kind of bandana he was wearing, but he was wearing some crazy bandana, and I was like, you know what? It's funny. I won't do it. Like, we'll start it up. So now we got me and him. We go out. We try to find just the craziest bandanas you can have. I think I got a cheetah one. He's got like a sock monkey one. And you just try. It's just something to be stupid with and do funny and just have fun with it. We wear it during pregame and postgame, so whenever.
And on the buses, yeah, these guys love it. Zach wearing his bandanas, Julio Valdez, left-handed pitcher for the Tobs. They have the bandanas. Other guys have the sun hats, which doesn't seem like the coolest look in the world, but a lot of guys like those as well. Is it just one of those things where it seems to keep the team kind of lighthearted?
Just something good for him. Who can get the craziest outfit? I think Mintier got a tie-dye one. So just something, if you can find it crazy and you think you can rock it, rock it.
And Mintier also had a shirt last time on the bus, which I don't think went over all that well. You want to describe it for the people at home?
He had a Columbia fishing shirt, and then he had gym shorts that was tucked in, like crew socks, and then Nike Free. So he looked like he was going to work out, but he's also like he was going to go fish right after.
Yeah, it was kind of like a pirate look, too.
Oh,
just not really the best look in the world. But we have to go back to the baseball for just a second. I mean, it is why we're here after all. And you are playing very well. You came up with a big hit in the game against the Edenton Steamers. Not one of your hardest hits of the season, but it was very well placed. A 2-out, 2-run RBI double, which turned a 1-0 game into a 3-0 game. Take me through that at-bat.
You know, it was just 2 outs, just trying to put something hard in play, to be honest. I come from junior college where, you know, we were taught to always take your best swing at anything because that wasn't probably my hardest hit ball, but because I probably took my best swing. And I got fooled. It's like a little change-up, but I got fooled, but because I took my best swing, I got off the end of the bat. And I was able to, you know, flare it out, and luckily where nobody could get to it, and I got to it, and just trying to not strike out because we had a guy on third. You don't want to leave a runner stranded if you can, but just really just trying to put something in play.
And this is just a couple of games after the Tobs were 1-14 with runners in scoring position. So really a huge hit in a game in which the Tobs ended up winning 4-1, thanks in large part, actually I ended up being the game-winning hit now that I think about it, but thanks in large part to that double from you, Zach. And also you had a very nice play in the field earlier in the game, actually just one inning before, where you had to go to a sliding stop with a runner on third base for the Steamers. What is it about the way that you play that in those kind of clutch and pivotal situations, the moment doesn't seem to get the best of you?
I just try to stay relaxed. I mean, you want to win, but at the end of the day, I'm like a kid. You just know, I love playing baseball. Just you're out there, just have fun with it. Don't try to let winning and pressure moments get to you and ruin it. You know, you make an error or whatever, just next pitch, next at bat, whatever, you can't take it with you. So really just stay loose, have fun. That's why I like wearing bandanas and just have fun with it. I mean, it helps you not choke when those pressure moments come.
Who would you say is the loosest guy in the team? Who's the guy that really gets everybody else to relax? Maybe the funniest guy in the team?
Either Julio or Mintier.
Mintier?
Mintier, just the random stuff he says is unreal, and it'll just have you laughing for days.
Okay, now speaking of Ryan Mintier, the right-handed relief pitcher, who do you think has the best hair on the team? Because that thing kind of just flops up.
I don't know. Mintier's got the little fro going now, so he's spiking it with the tie-dye headband. But Julio's got the mohawk. So I don't know. I mean, it's a close battle between those two.
Well, and Drew Cole actually, last game he was kind of sporting a little bit of a mohawk.
And I don't know if you saw Doug. Doug got the pre-game haircut and got the little Bryce Harper mohawk flow going.
Did he?
Yeah.
No, I did not see that.
But he wasn't feeling it, so he ended up cutting that off.
Why, you couldn't convince him to just keep that look going?
I tried. He wasn't feeling it.
Okay, now I have to ask you, what's the weirdest look that you've ever rocked or gone with in terms of hairstyle?
I don't know, probably just a buzz cut, to be honest. I mean, we've done mohawks and stuff. I haven't gotten too crazy with it. I really want to grow a beard out and get like a solid design in it. Mm-hmm. But I haven't really done something. I mean, nothing crazy. I've done a mohawk. I've done buzz cut, but.
But you're from South Carolina. The beards don't really work all that well in the warmer weather.
Yeah, it don't work. But I mean, if you can rock it and get like a cool design, it'd be solid.
I had a buddy in high school, a baseball guy on my team, who actually ended up. His nickname was Spurs. So he went with boots in his facial hair. Yes. So is that something that you'd be trying to go for?
I could do that, yeah.
You could go for that?
Just whatever pops in my mind. I just want to do something crazy that no one's seen.
Now, are you going to try to look like online for something, or is this just going to be a moment of inspiration?
Moment of inspiration.
Moment of inspiration.
It comes from.
That's awesome. Well, Zach, you've been providing a decent amount of moments of inspiration since coming back to the team, and thank you again for coming in this morning on Tobs Talk.
Oh, of course.
All right, and Zach will look to continue his solid play tonight against the Forest City Owls, the second time that the Owls and Tobs face off this summer, and the last time that the two teams will face off this summer, the first time at Fleming Stadium. Game starts at 7:05, gates open at 6 o'clock. Once again, Zach, thank you for coming in. When we come back right here on Tobs Talk, we'll wrap things up. Tobs Talk is presented by Thomas and Ferris right here on Greenlight Channel 2. And welcome back, everybody, to this edition of Tobs Talk. Tobs Talk is presented by Thomas and Ferris right here on Greenlight Channel 2. Well, I'd like to say thank you to the head coach of the Tobs, Justin Hay, for coming in this morning, as well as Jerry Stancil from Greenlight, as it's always good to have somebody from Greenlight on this show. And also, of course, to the player who showed up this morning, Zach Callahan. Zach is on back-to-back Tobs Talk, so hopefully for my sake, I don't have to see him ever again this summer. But really, folks, Callahan doing a great job since rejoining the team in 3 starts. He has 5 hits, an extra base hit he's driven in 2. Just doing a great job out of that second base spot, usually batting also in the 2-hole in the lineup. So just a really good job by Zach Callahan, the guy from Francis Marion University. Well, folks, tonight's game is against the Forest City Owls. First pitch is scheduled for 7:05. Gates open at 6 o'clock. It's Meal Deal Wednesdays. $5 gets you a soft drink, hot dog, as well as chips. So if you want to have yourself a decent meal at Fleming Stadium tonight, bring $5 and you can yet again get hot dogs, chips, and a soft drink, all for just $5. The Forest City Owls are coming to town for the only time this summer, and it's the last time that the Tobs and Forest City Owls will play against each other. The Tobs are looking for some revenge after losing in Forest City 10-5 much earlier in the season. So we'll see if the Tobs, who ended the first half at 15-13, can make it 3 games above 500. They haven't been 3 games above 500 since they were 4-1 in the first week of the season. We've been talking about how they've been playing 500 baseball for pretty much the entire month of June, and yeah, that's the easiest way to tell that they've been playing 500 baseball. They started the season off 4-1, and they have had 4 different streaks where they lost back-to-back games, then came back and won back-to-back games, just going back and forth and back and forth. And we'll see if the Tobs can get some consistency going in that win column. They haven't been to the playoffs in more than 5 years, so we'll see if they can break that drought this summer. And right now, they're currently doing a good job of it, sitting 2 games above 500 at 15-13, looking to make it 16-13 tonight against the Forest City Owls. First pitch is at 7:05. Gates open at 6 o'clock. The Tobs are throwing Christian Slasnick, who is the reigning 919 Marketing CPL Pitcher of the Week for his 8 innings plus shutout performance against the Wilmington Sharks last week. It's the second time in as many weeks that the Tobs have grabbed a 919 Marketing CPL Player of the Week honor. Seth LaRue 2 weeks ago, and then Slasnick, the reigning Pitcher of the Week. They're already off to a pretty good start and might be able to grab another Pitcher of the Week award thanks to John Valak III, who went 7 innings of shutout baseball against the Edenton Steamers for the Tobs' 15th win of the season. And now John Valak is 4-0 on the season. He has the most wins out of any pitcher on the Tobs pitching staff. Well, folks, this is Jake Donnelly saying thank you for tuning in to another edition of Tobs Talk. Hope we'll see you all at Fleming. Remember, game starts at 7:05. Gates open at 6 o'clock. Have a great day, folks.